Good morning, children. Welcome to physical science class. Today we are learning about reflection of light at curved surfaces. This reflection concept is a very familiar concept because from 6th class you are learning this concept. Let us recollect. Let me recollect and you may know it what is reflection. Recollect from 6th class, 7th class, 8th class, 9th class what you have learnt. Briefly, I'll explain. In class 6, we have learnt about different types of shadows, how the umbra and penumbra takes place. In class 7, we have learnt about how the light ray fall on object and how it will travel in the medium. The light always travel in a straight line. It is called rectilinear propagation of light. And you also learn laws of reflection. And in class 8 also you have learned about reflection of light by plane surfaces, how the images formed in a plane mirror and a number of images formed by plane mirror. What is the formula of a plane mirror in getting a number of images when they have a different angle between them? These all we have learnt in class 6, 7, 8, 9. So that here the new concept in 10th class is reflection of light at curved surfaces. If the light is reflecting on curved surfaces, how it behaves, that we are going to learn in this class. So before going to know about this reflection at light at curved surfaces, let us see once what is called reflection of light and why it will takes place. We will be knowing these two things here now in first page. A reflection of light is nothing but a ray of light or a beam of light strikes a surface and returns into the medium from which it is originated. This phenomena is called as reflection. So that is nothing but, in simple explanation, a bouncing back of a ray of light or a beam of light. When a beam of light is touching one surface, it will come back into the originated medium again. This bouncing back of a ray of light is nothing but a reflection. Let us take a source of light. It may be a sun, moon, or a candle, or a lamp, or a torchlight, any source of light. It will emit light rays. When the source of light is emitting light rays, these light rays, if they strike any surface, it will get reflected. Why it has to reflect? What is the reason behind the reflection? The reason is the speed of light. Everybody know the speed of light in air is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second. If the speed of light is speed of light maintains the same value if it do not touch any other medium. If it continuously travel in the same medium like air or vacuum, it will not change its direction. It will go with the same speed and the direction is also the same way. But when it hits another medium which is not air, which is not vacuum, then obviously the speed of light changes. It won't be in 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second. The value is changing because the speed of light is changing, so that direction also changes. So due to the change in the speed, we see the direction of light is changing. That is called reflection. This complete phenomena is called as reflection. So this reflection or refraction, any optic concept, can be easily understood by a ray of light. Here a ray of light has nothing but a ray diagram. Here incident ray is falling on a surface which is in black, shown in a black line in the ray diagram. Incident ray falling, hitting the surface, and again it is originated to a same original medium where it has started and it is traveling back to the same medium. Here you can see the direction of incident ray is downward towards the plane of the surface and the reflected ray direction is away from the plane of the surface. Here for your convenience I have given as pink color as incident ray and green color as reflected ray. If you observe clearly, in between incident ray and reflected ray, there is one dotted line. This dotted line is called as normal. Why is this normal? What is the use of this normal? So the use of this normal is to find, see, reflected ray, incident ray, both of them are hitting the plane surface. With how much angle it is hitting, how it is falling on the surface. To know these values, we have taken normal as a reference point. I hope you are getting points here. Because of the change in the medium, the light ray is getting reflected, and to know the values in what angle it is getting reflected, or else it is striking the surface, to know these values, we are drawing a normal in between incident ray and reflected ray. Here the normal is nothing but a perpendicular line. The perpendicular line is nothing but, you know that. What is the angle of a perpendicular line with the surface? Exactly. It is 90 degrees. So if we draw this line on a surface, where we have to draw? Only the point where the incident ray is striking. For example, I am showing here. For example, this is incident ray falling here. Then we need to draw normal here itself. We should not draw any other place. This is incident ray and this is normal. From this normal we can see reflected ray. Clear? In daily life example I will tell you. If you take a ball and hit it to the wall or hit it to the ground, what will happen? It will again come back to your hand. It will come back to the original medium where it is originated. Why it is coming back? Because until that moment, until it hits the wall or a ground, it maintains its own velocity. When it hits, the speed of the ball is changing, so that it will change its direction and it will come back into another direction. So it's the same way the ray of light also bounces back into the originated medium. Let us see the definitions of incident ray, reflected ray, normal. Incident ray, a ray which strikes a plane surface or a curved surface is called incident ray, denoted as I. Reflected ray, a ray which comes back into the medium from the striking surface is called reflected ray. Next, normal, a perpendicular line which is drawn onto the plane surface at a point where incident ray is striking the surface is called normal. I told you all the points clearly. Incident ray, reflected ray, normal, angle of incidence, this is angle of reflection. Normal is making how much angle? 90 degrees angle with the surface. This P is called as what? Point of incidence. Why this is point of incidence? Because incident ray is striking the plane of surface. So at the point where the incident ray is striking the surface, that point is called as point of incidence. Clear? I hope everybody got these three definitions. Let us go for the next definition, angle of incidence. The angle between incident ray and normal is called as angle of incidence, denoted by angle I. And the next one, angle of reflection. The angle between reflected ray and normal is called as angle of reflection. See here, why we are drawing normal? Anybody may get doubt. If you don't draw the normal, we do not know what is angle of incidence and what is angle of reflection. So for the reference point, here we are drawing a normal which is making 90 degrees angle with the surface. So normal is a reference point so that we can easily calculate angle of incidence. What is angle of incidence? The angle between incident ray and normal is called as angle of incidence. The angle between normal and reflected ray is called as angle of reflection. That means the common line between incident ray and reflected ray is normal. Generally, students while writing exam or while writing classwork in test, they generally commit a small mistake, that is incident ray, reflected ray, normal ray. No. It is not incident, it is not reflected ray. It is a reflected ray. It is not a normal ray. It is incident ray. It is a reflected ray, but it is not a normal ray. Normal is just a geometrical line drawn by the observer. I hope everybody understood what is incident ray, reflected ray, normal, angle of incidence, angle of reflection. Let us go through the laws of reflection. Reflection has some laws. That is, first law of reflection is angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. That means when any incident ray is striking the surface, it always makes same angle. With how much angle the incident ray is striking the surface with reference to normal, it will make same angle when it is while it is reflecting back into originated medium. If angle of incidence is 30 degrees, then angle of reflection also 30 degrees. If angle of incidence is 45 degrees, angle of reflection also 45 degrees. There is no change at all. Even not a single point also, we do not get any difference in that. So, depending upon this law, I have a question for you. Think and answer. How does the incident ray must strike the surface in order to get angle of incidence and angle of reflection as 0 degree? Very easy. By understanding the first law, you can give an answer for this. Very easy. I guess many of the students already saying the answer. That's really good. And those who did not get the answer, no problem. You think. First try to understand first law and then think about this question. Surely you will get it. If you don't get this answer, no problem. Next class I am going to explain this answer. Okay. Let us go for the second law of reflection. This is very easy. Incident ray, reflected ray, normal. These are the three things we have known till now, discussed till now. These all lie on the same plane at a point of incidence. Let us see the diagram once again. When incident ray, reflected ray taken on the plane surface, all of the three, incident ray, reflected ray, normal, all the three lying on the same plane. Not only same plane, they are coinciding at one point, that is called point of incidence. This is second law. I repeat, second law, incident ray, reflected ray, normal, all lie on the same plane at a point of incidence. So we have discussed two laws. Right? Okay. I hope everybody understood these two laws. What is first law? Angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. Angle I is equal to angle R. Second law is incident ray, reflected ray, normal, all lie on the same plane at a point of incidence. Let us go for activity. See, here the activity talks about normal. How to draw a normal. Drawing a normal on a plane surface is very easy. Like this is a plane surface if you consider, and this is making 90 degrees angle here. So this is normal. It is very easy to draw normal on a plane surface. But here our lesson is not about plane surface. It is about curved surface. Then how to find a normal to a curved surface is the aim of this activity. So material required for this activity, few pins and rubber foam or a thermocol or a cardboard. You can take any of these, and the process is take a small piece of thin foam or a rubber, put some pins along a straight line as shown in the figure. See, here we have a figure. In figure A, you can see these pins are attached straight line in a straight line parallel to each other. This is a foam and these pins are attached straight line in a straight line, and make sure these all pins making angle 90 degrees with the surface. So what are these lines can be called as, or these pins are called as? Yes, you are right, these are normals. Because why these are called normals? Because these are making 90 degrees angle with the given surface. It is for the plane surface. Let us see the figure number B, figure 13B. Here in this picture, figure 13B, the foam is bent inward. What had happened here when foam is bent inward? The heads of the pins are coming towards each other. They are coming towards each other. That means they are trying to intersect at one point. If you extended these rays, heads, if you extended these all rays, they are meeting at one point. When a foam is bent inward, we observe, we notice that the rays are, or the normals are intersecting at one point. Can I call these are as normals? Yes, I can call them as normals. Why? Because though the sheet is bending, here the base of the pin is not bending. It is fixed to the foam. So the base of the pin is fixed so that the angle is not changing. Because of the bend in the inward bend in the foam, these heads of the pins are coming to each other, coming towards each other. Is it clear to everyone? Let us see. In figure B, the piece of foam bent inwards. What happened to pins? Are the pins still represent normals? Yes, they represent normals because the sharp edge of the pin fixed to the base, which is a foam. To the foam, the pins are fixed so that this is not moving. So that we can say it is making 90 degrees angle. If it is making 90 degrees angle, then we can say it as a normal. Clear? Let us go for the third case. In this figure C, the foam bent in outward. When the foam bent in outward, the heads of the pins we can see they are moving away from each other. They are not meeting. But when you extended the sharp edges behind the foam, then they are meeting. This we can say these nails are or pins are moving away from each other. In other words, we can say they are diverging. Here in this figure, these pins are moving towards each other, so we can say it as a converging. Did you understand? In simple words, I can say when you coming to school, you will come from different houses. Yes, different lanes, different houses, but all of you meet at what? Meet in classroom, right? So that classroom is a converging point of view. Because why it is converging point? Because you all people are meeting at that place. So our classroom or our school is a converging point. Diverging point I will explain. When you are all are there in one place and you after school you go to different houses, that means you will go in different directions. That is called diverging. Clear? So here the converging and diverging, even though the foam is bent inward or outward, the fixed nail, the fixed part of the nail is not moving. It is making 90 degrees angle with the foam. It is making 90 degrees angle with the surface. So that even in case C also, third case also, we can see this is a normal. Each and every point this pin would like to act as only normal. So from these three cases, you understood this normal is nothing but 90 degrees a line, whether it may be a curved surface or a plane surface, right? So are the pins still represent normals? Yes, normals. In figure C, we bend the foam outside or outwards. We will see that the pins seem to move away from each other. In other words, we say pins are diverging. Pins are diverging in the sense these heads are diverging, but these are making 90 degrees angle with the surface. In figure B, pins are converging, and in figure C, pins are diverging. That gives us an idea of what is likely to happen with curved surfaces. I have done this activity with the help of pencils and cardboard. Let us go through this activity once. See, here this is a cardboard I have taken. You can see here. This is a cardboard, and I sticked pencils on this. Each pencil is fixed here, and every pencil is making 90 degrees angle with this cardboard, so that we can say these all are called normals. Let us lying on the ground like this, easy to understand. These all are normals. When this foam is bent inward, what we can observe when foam is bent or the cardboard is bent inward, we can see these all are meeting at one point. This is called converging point. But the angle between the normal and the cardboard is not changing. It is 90 degrees angle only. If it bent outward, then the direction of the each and every pencil going away from each other. They are not moving different directions. The heads of the pencils are moving away from each other, but the base of the pencil here is at only 90 degrees, as this base of this pencil is fixed to the cardboard. So from here, what did we understand? This one is a diverging when it is bent outward, and when it is bent inward, it is converging. Though the angle between the normal and the base or a plane surface is always maintaining 90 degrees with the surface. I hope everybody got this point. So let us see now how to draw a normal. How to draw a normal, it is the main goal of this activity, right? So from these three cases, we would understand the distance or the point on the curved surface or a curved mirror. If it is joined to the center of curvature, then we get the normal. The point where it is converging, this point is called as center of curvature. The center of curvature definition we are going to learn in this next topic. Here, when a line is drawn from a point on the mirror to center of curvature, then we can call it as a normal. Any point on the mirror, we can take any point on the mirror from a curved surface, and we can join center of curvature with the center of curvature, then we can say it as a normal. For example, if you take a point here and if you join this point to center of curvature, it is a normal. If you consider a point here and if you join with the center of curvature, it is a normal. That means by joining any point on the reflecting surface of a mirror to the center of curvature, then we will get the normal. I told you why we have so stressed about this normal, because without normal we cannot find out angle of incidence and angle of reflection. Like, okay, and here in this picture we are seeing a new terms like principal axis, center of curvature, n1 normal 1, n2 normal 2, and this is p. What are these terms called as? These terms are optics basic points. That means these are the points where we will call them incident angle is making with what angle, how it is falling on incident ray. These all will be taken or considered with respect to this optic center and center of curvature. Let us, from this activity we can understand that the each pin act as a normal on the foam even though the foam bent inward or outward. What is the conclusion? Is the conclusion of this activity? If we draw a line from any point on the mirror to the center of curvature, we can get normal at that point. This is the conclusion of that activity 1. Okay, let us go for next concept, that is types of curved surfaces. We have what is our title? Reflection of light at curved surfaces. Till now we have seen the reflection of light. The next part is what? Curved surfaces. How many types of curved surfaces we are having in this chapter? 2 curved surfaces. One is concave mirror, the other one is convex mirror. How this concave mirror and convex mirror can be made actually? Why these are called as spherical mirrors? Because see, actually these mirrors are made from a sphere. If you see, this is a sphere. Let us consider this as a sphere, and sphere has a center. From this sphere, this is a glass sphere, right? Transparent glass sphere. From this sphere, if a part is been cut or separated from this sphere like this, that means we'll get like this part. Or if any part is cut from here, it is separated, then we will get a piece like this. Or if any thing cut here, it will get like this. If it cut from here, we'll get like this. These are the pieces which are cut or which are separated from the sphere. And after separating from sphere, if the outward portion is silver coating applied and painted, then inward surface acting as a concave mirror. For example, if inside the surface is painted, then outward surface act as a convex mirror. From here also we can take, here also, anywhere you can cut a piece, cut a curved surface from a sphere. These mirrors are taken out from the sphere. That's why these are called spherical mirrors, and the shape is also sphere shape. This is the part of a sphere, a spherical mirrors. So this is the way. This is called what? Center of the sphere, right? Okay, this is the way the convex mirror and concave mirrors are prepared. Let us see here the diagram. If outward surface is painted, that inward surface act as a reflecting surface. This is called concave mirror. And if the inward surface is painted, then outward surface act as a convex mirror. Concave mirror, convex mirror, both of them are reflecting surfaces, and those are called spherical mirrors. Let us see some basic terminology in reflection concept where we generally use in curved surfaces. Without these names, there is no reflection concept. So it is very important to know these definitions, because if you don't know these definitions, you cannot understand the whole lesson. If you don't understand this first lesson, you cannot understand fourth lesson, refraction of light at curved surfaces. If you don't understand refraction of light at curved surfaces, fourth lesson, you cannot understand human eye and its colorful world, lesson number 5. That means this is the page number 8, is a very important page. If you really understand these definitions and where these are placed, what is the position, what is the property, if you know how it is indicated, where is its position in a concave mirror, then easily you can understand the next concepts. Let us go through this. Pole. What is pole? See, every mirror which is separated from a sphere has a curved surfaces, inward curved and outward curved. So this inward curved surface acting as a reflecting surface, the outward must be painted. If outward surface is painted, the bulging portion is painted, then only we can see the inward surface as a reflecting surface. Let us understand this with the help of this spoon. I am explaining with the help of spoon. It is very easy to understand. It will help you to get the concept of what is concave surface and what is concave mirror. See this, it is a spoon. We can find two types of surfaces. One is cave shaped surface, the other one is bulging out surface. This bulging out surface and cave shaped surface, they both are different indication for different types of surfaces. This indicates concave surface, this indicates convex surface. This bulging out portion indicate convex surface. Easily we can identify by seeing your face into these surfaces. After my class, take a spoon and look at your face in this spoon. Look at your face in the spoon. You find different types of images. You don't find, both of the material is same, but the shape of the surface is different, so that you don't get same types of images. This is also a 1-2 mark important question, many times asking in the board exam. The next concept we are going to learn about it only. So this is convex surface and this is concave surface. So this concave surface, here also I have considered concave surface. The midpoint of this mirror is called as pole. The midpoint of the mirror is called as pole. And this is center of curvature. Pole is indicated as P, with P. And this is center of curvature. It is very important to understand. Center of curvature is nothing but the center of the sphere from where the mirror is apart. That is called center of curvature. You have learned before, I have told you how the convex mirror or concave mirror are prepared by drawing a, see I am drawing here a sphere again. From this sphere, this is center of the sphere, and from this one piece is separated, and it is a transparent glass sphere. One piece is separated and it is a transparent glass. It is coated outside, so inward it is acting as what? Reflecting surface. This is concave surface. Suppose one more piece has taken out from here like this, and inside it is coated, then outward act as a convex surface. So these two are separated from one sphere. The sphere has one center, that is center of the sphere. The center of the sphere is center of curvature for the mirrors which are apart. These two mirrors are taken from this sphere. So the center of curvature, the center of this sphere is called as center of curvature for this mirror. And even for this mirror also, center of this sphere will become a center of curvature to this mirror. If we take 100 mirrors from this sphere, then all these 100 mirrors will have same center of curvature. One more taken from here like this, one more taken from here, one more taken from here. Like how many mirrors are apart from this sphere? All of these mirrors which are apart from this mirror, which are taken out from this sphere, the center of this sphere will become center of curvature for these mirrors. That means many number of mirrors are taken out from the sphere, made from this sphere. Then all of those mirrors which are taken from the same sphere will have a same center of curvature, because the center of the sphere is same for all of them. I hope you understood this concept. The sphere, from the sphere, a glass sphere, a concave mirror and convex mirror can be made. When we are preparing these surfaces, when we taking out from a sphere, whatever the center of the sphere is there, that will become a center of curvature for the concave mirror or convex mirror. I hope you understood. The center of the sphere from where the mirror is apart is called as center of curvature for a given mirror. Next one is principal axis. Principal axis is nothing but the horizontal line which passes through the center of curvature and the pole. Here you can see this is a pole. What is pole? The midpoint of a concave mirror. And what is center of curvature? The center of the sphere from where the mirror is apart. So this center of curvature and pole, that is when the line is the horizontal line passing through this pole and center of curvature is called as principal axis. Principal axis is an axis or a line which joins or which passes through the pole and center of curvature. So this is called principal axis. Suppose if you take a line here, it will just go through pole. If you take a line here, it will go through only center of curvature. If you take a line here, it will just go through like this. But it will not joins both pole and C. So line which joins pole and C is only one line for any mirror. For any mirror, a line, only one line or only one axis joins or passes through the pole and center of curvature. That line or that axis is called as principal axis. I hope you understood. Let us go for the radius of curvature. The distance between pole and the center of curvature is called as radius of curvature. Here you need to understand one thing. See, principal axis also we are telling about pole and center of curvature. But even radius of curvature also pole and center of curvature. Then what is the difference between principal axis and radius of curvature? Did you get the doubt? Yes. Yes. Principal axis is nothing but we are not talking about the distance. We are talking about the line which joins or which passes through pole and center of curvature. That line is called as principal axis. But whereas in radius of curvature, we are talking about the distance between pole and center of curvature. Here talks completely about the distance between P and C. That is called radius of curvature. Many of the students generally confused in this. So you need to understand. Once you just go through these definitions, read these definitions. If you want, you can write the notes, pause the video and write the notes and read the question again and read the definition again and again. Draw the diagram, then you will easily understand. Radius of curvature is nothing but the distance between pole and center of curvature. Whereas center of curvature is just a point. Even pole is also a point. Then what is the difference between pole and center of curvature? Pole is the midpoint of the mirror. Center of curvature is the center point of the sphere. So both are points but both are different concepts. Radius of curvature is distance between pole and center of curvature. Then what is axis? The line joins the line which joins P and C. Line, there is no measurement. We cannot say principal axis is 100 cm or 5 cm, 3 cm. We do not say that. Principal axis is just a line, that's it. We denote it in x dash, pp dash, y dash, like that. How in a coordinate geometry in mathematics we denote like x dash is x axis, y dash is y axis, like that we denote. It is a just line. But whereas radius of curvature, we say it in terms of centimeter, millimeter, meter it won't be, it's so big. So we'll say radius of curvature in centimeter and millimeter. Principal axis is just a axis. Center of curvature is also a point. Pole is also a point. I hope you understood all these definitions. Right? Okay. Let us go for the next concept. Using the previous method. Okay. I have a question for you depending upon these two concepts. First question is already over now. First question, draw the ray diagram when angle I and angle R is equal to 0. And this is the second question. Think and answer. I will read the question once and I will explain also. Then you will try to find a solution for this. If we consider a semisphere as a spherical mirror, what is the angle made by the radius of its tangent? What name we can give it to the radius according to reflection concept? I repeat the question. If we consider a semisphere as a spherical mirror, what is the angle made by the radius of its tangent? And what name we can give it to that radius according to reflection concept. I will explain the question. See, for example, you are taking a semi-sphere. If a ball cut into two pieces, two equal pieces, so each piece is called as a semi-sphere. In that semi-sphere, if you consider that semi-sphere as a spherical mirror, and the angle made by the radius of its tangent, what is the angle made by the radius with its tangent? Semisphere is there. To the semisphere, we have to draw a tangent. What is called tangent? In geometry, we will get this tangent concept. Tangent is nothing but a straight line which touches the circumference of the circle at a single point. So take a radius. Wherever you are taking the radius, there you draw one line, one tangent, and see what is the angle. So what is the angle? Easy question. Very good. What name we can give it to the radius? If you consider that semisphere as a spherical mirror, in the concept of reflection, what name you can give it to that radius? If you could answer the first part of this question, then easily you will get the second part of answer for the second part also. Very easy. Till now I explained the definitions, there only the answer. Many of you got this answer, that's really good. And those who did not get the answer, think about this answer, you will get it sure. If you don't get it, no problem, I will explain in next class. If incident ray is parallel to principal axis, next concept, making angle with normal, how will get reflected in case of a concave mirror? See, this mirror we have taken as a concave mirror, yes, because outward is painted, and this is incident ray, yellow color line, and it is a reflected ray, R, pink color line. And you people know this, the dotted line is called what? Yes, normal. Because dotted line always, normal always must indicate only in dotted lines. So the point is center of curvature. Why it is normal? Because it is joining the point on the surface of the mirror to center of curvature. If the center of the curvature point and the point on the mirror is joined, so obviously it will make 90 degrees angle here, so that it is a normal. Then what could be the angle? See, incident ray is making some angle with normal. Here also making some with angle. So what are the values? That means what could be the values? What is the relation between these values? Yes, you are right. Angle I and angle R equal. If it is 30 degrees, it is also 30 degrees, because according to first law of reflection, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. That's really good. Many of you are able to say the answer. Angle I is equal to angle R according to laws of reflection. Is it not easy? Very easy. Just listen to the class with focus. Using the previous method, we have discussed now the previous method. Try to draw different incident rays that are parallel to principal axis, making different angles with normal. Here I have drawn one line, right? You take one more line here, you take one more line here, you take one more line here. How they will get reflected? What do you observe in that diagram? You just draw the ray diagram, try this and come to a conclusion. So an incident, next one is, in the next class, I hope you all understood this class. In next class, we are going to learn about activity to produce a diverging beam of light and a converging beam of light, and activity 2 with a concave mirror and convex mirror when parallel beam of light is incident on both of them. And the next one is lab activity to observe different types of images with concave mirror. This is a 4-mark answer, and this is also a 4-mark answer in board point of view. In next class, we are going to discuss these points. And whatever we have discussed till now, go through all the definitions thoroughly. Learn the definitions. Before learning the definition, try to understand the concept. Then easily you can remember it. If you understand once, you can never forget this. Because generally students face a problem of forgetting. Why we will forget? Because if you don't understand. Can anybody forget what comes after Sunday? Which day comes after Sunday? Nobody forgets, because it is well known fact. Sunday after Monday. What after Sunday? After Saturday we'll get Sunday. It's a well known fact, and every day we do that. So the practice makes man perfect. If you are not perfect, only practice is the one weapon which makes perfect. So if you able to solve the questions, it's very good. If you do not able to solve the question, don't get discouraged. I am there to give you solution very clearly. Until that, think about the answers and try to go through all the video and write the classwork also. Thank you. Have a nice day.